Hey, my name's Jonathan, and I'm a veteran.
Hi, my name is Daryl, and I'm a veteran.
My name is Chad, and I'm a veteran.
Hey, I'm Travis. I'm an Air Force veteran.
Hi, my name's Ashley, and I'm a veteran.
Well, hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm Carol Lee. This is Conversations with a Vet. I hope everybody had a great week and are looking forward to next week. We've got Thanksgiving coming up. How many of you, if you're able to put a chat in, do so. How many of you are having turkey? And then how many of you out there are going to have something outside of turkey? I know we are. We have a tradition. My dad's allergic to turkey. So we, for years and years, have done homemade pizzas. So pretty excited for that. I did give the family the option. Do they want a turkey this year or do they want homemade pizza? They opted for homemade pizza. So that's what we're doing. Jim, thank you for being here. And Jason, thank you as well. Everybody be safe while you're out there driving and listening. Couple little notes. So we've got back here again a handful of books. Several of them are signed by the veteran author. And when we hit that 500 mark for subscribers, we will be doing a giveaway. We have some additional things planned for that as well. So make sure, share, comment, and also hit that subscribe button. And we'll hopefully get to that pretty quick. I think I'm at 389 now, so pretty excited to hit that 500 mark. But share, 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 very important. I have a great guest, DJ Play Nice. Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. I've got a great guest sitting in the wings, and he has graciously agreed to come on and have a conversation. So please make sure, if you've got questions for him, put them in the chats. We'll be happy to put them on the screen, let him answer those. But otherwise, sit back and enjoy that conversation. So please help me welcome Rob Wentz. Hi, Rob. How are you?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I am doing great. I admire the puppies on their back wall by there. Randy, welcome. Randy's out in the chat, so be prepared to be heckled.
Oh, with him? Yeah, definitely.
It's always fun when we have friends of the veterans that are on the channel because, oh yeah, tell them about this story. Tell them about that story. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Anything fun?
Well, I'm going to go to my parents' house in Northwest Indiana. They're up by the Gary, Valparaiso area. So
I'm not familiar with where that's at.
What's that?
I'm not familiar with where that's at.
It's right outside Chicago, like just east of it.
Okay. All right. And do you guys do turkey?
They do. I just eat everything else.
Not a turkey fan.
Not a turkey fan. I heard you're having pizza though, so I might make a trip down by you.
You're always welcome. We have done homemade pizzas for eons now. And this is the first year that there's only going to be 4 of us. And so we're not going to have a lot of pizzas. We have made all sorts of pizzas. And I think my favorite one that we have made is a Reuben pizza.
Oh, I'm definitely coming by. End of story.
I mean, it's amazing. Homemade crust. I make it myself. And then, get all of the prep work done the night before, everything diced and ready to go. And yeah. But usually it's like 7, 8 pizzas. And I think this year it'll be 3, probably max. That'll be for leftovers, right? So.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with leftovers.
No, especially pizza. Now, I'm not a big leftover fan, but pizza I can handle. So, that's easy.
I'm the single guy, so I'm used to eating leftovers no matter what I cook.
Yeah, I just can't do it. So when I was single, I did everything I could to just do enough for one person. Because I just, growing up in the 70s and 80s, and yes, I'm aging myself, it was, and with a family, 6 total kids, it was leftovers constantly, constantly. And I'm talking like they would do, the big pans that you would see in a buffet, right? The great big ones. Imagine that with homemade macaroni and cheese. Sounds great, right? The first night, that's wonderful. Second night, they'd add like peas.
Ooh,
Third
I'm
night, uh, third night they'd add ham or, and just keep adding stuff to it. The same mac and cheese.
you gotta spice it up.
Ugh, nasty. So, yeah, but I'm excited, to enjoy a good homemade pizza. So it's been a year since I've done a homemade pizza, so yeah. Well, I hope you have a safe trip with that, to your families, and I'm sure they'll be happy to see you.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? I know. I tell my kid that all the time, yeah. Just think, you'll leave and then you're gonna be missing us, right? But he's learning quickly, especially to cook for himself. So, he has mastered the art of top ramen.
Oh, there you go.
And when I say that, I mean like it's not your basic ramen straight out of the package. I mean, he uses the noodles and he uses the packet, but he adds eggs. He adds
Oh,
milk,
yeah.
he adds all sorts of different things. Sometimes he turns it into a um what is that? Oh, I can't even think of like a Parmesan based,
Ooh.
like an Alfredo
Oh,
with ramen noodles. Yeah. So I mean, he just constantly is doing different things with it. So,
that's
which,
what I'm talking about.
yeah, yeah. So if that's something you're interested, he's got a lot of ideas. He's even gone so far to put fried spam in it.
Oh, well, I haven't done that yet,
It
so
actually
try
fried spam I like thin, very thin. Uh, I will eat that, but. So I always start off asking the question about your childhood and what was it like growing up, Rob?
Well, I grew up in the northern south suburbs of Chicago. Um, I was raised there till I was about, see, probably about 11 or 12. And
Okay.
then we moved to Northwest Indiana, and big, big change. I mean, you went from like city living to there's farms and everything.
Yeah.
And
But now I've not been to Indiana. Is it flat or is it hilly?
it all depends. I mean, where I was at, it was pretty much like another suburb of Chicago kind of deal. So
Okay.
it's pretty much city like.
And okay, so so then from the time you were 11 roughly, you were in Indiana, and what was it like for you for school? I mean, were you going from a school in Chicago to a school in Indiana? How
Oh,
how much of
it
a
was
shock was that?
completely different shock. Like what I was learning in fifth grade when I left Chicago, they were pretty much learning in third grade. So I was behind in some subjects and
Yeah.
everything, and just had to kind of catch up on my own. And that was pretty much before like ADHD and all that was a big issue. Like I probably had it, just was never diagnosed. So there's that.
Right? I see just in, my years, I have seen that like boys in general, right, are just more apt to be fidgety and not wanting to focus on what schoolwork,
Right.
anything that doesn't catch their attention, games or whatever. And I don't know, I think personally that's kind of a natural thing, right, for most males when they're young like that.
Right.
But they want to do something else.
Yeah. I mean, things were a lot more important than doing homework and stuff, you know?
Yep. And until you hit your adult life and you're like, "Oh yeah, that was kind of important."
Like, oh shoot, I can't graduate. Oh man, yeah, I probably should start doing it, you know.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So siblings, do you have siblings that will
I
join
got
you for Thanksgiving?
I have two sisters and a nephew, and then a
Nice.
brother-in-law too. So,
Okay. And are you the youngest?
I'm the oldest, actually.
Ah, all right. So,
So I still get in trouble no matter what they do. I mean, I'm
but
42
at
years
least they
old
didn't
now.
dress you up in girls' clothes.
Oh, no, no. Although they
See?
tried. They tried.
Being the youngest and being the only boy, that I could see where, yeah, for sure they'd achieve it. Okay, so were you studious at all? Not at all? Did
What
you
was that?
like school?
No, no.
You
School,
truly didn't. Okay.
no, no. Like, I would rather just go there and do the tests and everything than do the homework. Like, it seemed like they just bogged you down with tons of homework. Like, you know what? We we don't want you playing video games. We don't want you doing anything like that. Here, you got 7 pages in English. You got 13 pages in math. Oh, you got to do some science too. So it was like, you know what? Nah, it's boring as hell.
And what did your mom say to this, or your dad, with all with
Well,
with not wanting to get your homework and stuff
the,
done?
the bad thing was, is my mom was a special ed teacher before like we moved to Indiana, and then she became like a homemaker kind of deal. Then she
Okay.
went back to school to become a third grade teacher. So when I was going through high school, my mom was a substitute teacher. So that was not fun. There was days where I would ditch school and she'd be like, "Oh, where's my son at?" And they're like, "Oh, we don't know."
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Did you do any sports when you got into high school?
I tried to do some sports, but you had to have good grades and yeah, no.
Didn't work out.
Didn't
Well,
work out too well.
did you like being outside or
I did. I mean, for the most part, I was outside a lot. I was also grounded a lot, so there was a
sounds like my kids.
I was usually either working or grounded. So I mean, there wasn't too
Yes.
much craziness.
Yep, yep, that sounds about right. My kids went, I mean, and they're, gosh, 18 and 20. And I think through most of their life, they went without a cell phone and anything electronic. Oh, goodness, that's funny. Okay. Well, now, what was it that made you decide that you wanted to go into the military?
Actually, both my grandparents or both my grandpas, they were both army. Um, so like from an early age and stuff, reading like World War II books, having like different encyclopedias growing up as a kid. You start
Most
reading
people don't know what encyclopedias are nowadays.
Oh, you're not kidding at all. We had a lot of like your children's encyclopedias and stuff, your Time Life, things about World War II, Civil War. So that was
Mhm.
pretty much me. Like I would read that stuff. So I was like a big history buff kind of deal.
Nice. And then did your grandparents did they ever talk about their time in the army?
Not so much. I mean, that was let's see, back in like the 80s and 90s. So I mean, it was if they did, I really don't remember. So there's that.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Um, so you decide because they had been in the army, that's the branch that you wanted to go into?
Well, I So when I went to the recruiter, this was back in 2000. I went to the recruiters, I went to the Marines, and I knew that, like if I'm going to join, I'm going to need a sign on bonus or something. Marines just told me you get the pride of being Marine. I was like, well, Army's giving me 13 grand, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Yeah.
And I went over to the Army and they gave me the option to be a tanker for $8,000 sign on bonus, which I was like, okay, cool. I get to drive a tank. All right.
Mhm.
And right as they were doing the paperwork for that, they're like, whoa, hold up. Here's multiple launch rockets. We can give you a 13 grand sign on bonus. I was like, boom, let's go. Let's sign my name. Here we go.
Wow. So your MOS ended up being
13 Mike, multiple launch rocket systems.
oh, wow. That sounds pretty important.
It was fun.
Ah, okay. Let's go back just a little bit. So you go to the recruiter, you sign on the dotted line. At what point did you tell your parents you were joining the army?
Well, so my parents, they didn't really believe me a lot when I was growing up as a kid. So I was like, I'm gonna turn 18 and get a tattoo. Well, when I turned 18, I come home with a tattoo, and they're like, "Oh, he really did." And then I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go join the army." You ain't joining the army. Well, come back from EPS. I'm like, "Hey, here's my paperwork. Let's go."
Wow. Wow. And what did your mom say?
And she was like, "Ah, here we go. You know what you're getting yourself into?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm getting out of here."
Yeah. It's a hard thing for parents and especially moms. It's really difficult to have their son go away. Um, Especially when, I know my youngest Marine, when he went to boot camp, it's 13 weeks.
Mm,
And that was the first time he was ever really away for more than a week, right?
right.
So it was like heartbreaking to know you couldn't even talk to him. So yeah, I get that for sure.
Oh, she
Um,
she probably had a lot because I mean there was times where I couldn't talk to her for a while. I mean I did 3 tours overseas and stuff, so there
wow.
was a long time where she couldn't talk to me during certain things and everything.
And
Uh,
it doesn't help because we just sit there and worry and think, he said he'd be back in a week. He said he'd call me in a week and I haven't heard from him. Me, I'm checking the calendar day by day, putting a check mark for the last week. And here it is a week and a half and I still haven't heard from him. Something's wrong. I know it. Yeah.
See, I usually gave her the heads up, like, yeah, I'm probably gonna be gone for a long time. Like if I call, it's when I get a chance, kind of deal.
Yeah. But it's difficult for, no time frame, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That makes it really hard. Um, because but when they do give a time frame and they don't meet that time frame, our mind automatically goes to the worst place.
Yeah, and
Always.
that's pretty much why I kind of gave her like the heads up, like, hey, it might be a while.
Which is good. So
And
let's talk a little bit about boot camp or basic training. So um tell me how it went for you when you were headed to boot camp or basic. What
so
was it like when you get there?
so I was like the kid that didn't care. Um, you could be 8 feet tall, and here I am at 5'9", like, we're gonna fight. I don't
Oh.
care. And the first time I had a drill sergeant get in my face, I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like kind of bowed up, and I'm like, "Oh, that probably was a bad idea." So we all got smoked for like 6 hours, just doing nothing but push-ups, sit-ups, running back and forth, all that stuff.
I bet the other recruits really appreciated that.
Oh, I'm sure they did. They're probably still cussing my name right now. Like that dude made us do a lot of push-ups.
But they learned what not to do, right?
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah,
they always use me as, like the don't do that guy.
yeah, yeah, that's right. That's good. They learned something.
Yeah.
So when you first step on those footprints, because I'm assuming Army has footprints too.
I don't think we had the footprints. When I went, it was June of 2000, and we were the first all-male battery for Fort Sill, Oklahoma. So
Oh, okay.
it was pretty much a dog and pony show the entire way. Like we had generals lined up, like watching the whole thing, and there was a lot of brass just watching, kind of deal.
Okay. Um, you get off. Was it a bus you showed up in?
It was like a cattle truck, as we called them. So it looked like just a big old cow carrier kind of deal, and you're all stuffed in there with like 80, 90 guys with all your gear, and yeah,
Wow.
it was fun times.
And so when they're sitting there yelling at you to get out of there and go stand in line and however they did it, your thought is, I don't need to listen to these people. You're not scared, you're not nervous.
It was pretty much like, well, here it comes. This is the suck they were telling us about. Like, this is really gonna suck. And then I was just like, no, I had enough of this, And then just started screaming back, and I'm like, oh, that was a bad idea. I guess we better play along. Like,
Uh, and they have a receiving as well, right?
yes, yes.
Okay. And did you get to call home?
Not really. When I got there, I had a goatee smaller than this one. but I had long hair and everything, and they're like, "Yeah, that's got to go now." So yeah, that was a big culture shock too, and it was like, "Oh man, this is really gonna suck."
And did you even recognize yourself in the mirror?
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was like, "Whoa."
How long did it take you to grow it back? Just out of curiosity.
This one I've been growing for about 4 years now.
Wow. Okay. All right. Jason, don't get any ideas. Just kidding. It's his hair, it's his face, so he can do what he wants. But
I used to have
uh
long hair, and then I became a volunteer fireman when I moved down here to Central Illinois, and my long hair got caught in my helmet.
oh,
So I was like, "Yeah, we're going to the chop shop. We're getting that cut."
yeah, how does that work with what is that, the SCBA or
Unfortunately, I can't wear one anymore due to some combat injuries and stuff. So I'm gonna be engineering the truck, just giving all the water and stuff like that.
okay, good, good. Um, bad about that you can't do that,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Like,
but
oh,
good
trust me,
that you're not out of it.
it is a pain in the butt to try and keep me from doing stuff because I still have that "let's go" mentality kind of deal.
So let's talk a little bit more about boot camp. You end up you get through receiving, you get which is, you get your uniforms and your rack and all that stuff. And you're laying there for the first night. What are you thinking?
Pretty much it was like, where's the Benadryl? Because I can't sleep. So, something rest easy, something, just
Right.
laying there.
Yeah. And okay. Is there an area that or a like a training that they did in boot camp that you enjoyed more than others? Like, I mean, I know I'm assuming they did, rifle and did they do the gas chamber and
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, it all just blended together. I mean, it was just pretty much one day after another, just kind of get it all done to get to the final thing of just getting to my unit kind of deal.
Yeah. What where did you end up for your duty station? Your
Fort
permit.
Sill.
You stayed at Fort Sill.
I stayed at Fort Sill the entire 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how did that go? I mean, you're just doing training?
Like, we did the training for basic, and then I went to the AIT area, which was second of the 80th Field Artillery.
And that
And
was in Fort Sill.
yes, yes, it was just down the road from where my basic training was. Then after 4 weeks of that, I went to my first duty station, which was Second Battalion, Fourth Field Artillery.
Okay. And during those 4 years, you just stayed there in
Um,
Fort Sill, or did you get deployed?
oh yeah, we got deployed numerous times. In 2002, we went to White Sands, New Mexico. Um, then in February of '03, we went to Kuwait and Iraq. And then 2004, we went to 29 Palms in California and Fort Lewis, Washington.
Wow. Okay, so you went to New Mexico, and what was that one for?
That was just like training and everything to see where our unit's at, where we can do some training and everything, shooting rockets and stuff.
That just sounds like it's so intriguing, right? Let's go shoot some rockets.
Right, right. I mean, that's what kind of motivated me. Like, dude, let's go blow some stuff up.
Right?
I was
Yeah,
ready to
for sure.
go.
For sure. I know if my kids had that opportunity, 100% they would be there. They would do that. For sure. Um, so tell me a little bit about Kuwait when you were deployed. What year was that you were deployed?
That was 2003.
2003. So we'd already had um the 9/11
Mhm.
happen, and so I'm sure that probably kind of pumped everybody up a little bit wanting to get in that fight.
A little bit. Like, I really don't remember. When 9/11 hit, I was in AIT. It was pretty much, okay, you guys are going, and it wasn't like, oh, like we might be going all feared out. Like, it was more of a, all right, we might be going. Let's
Exactly.
go. This is what I signed up for. So I was like kind of pumped up with that.
But
Um,
you went you but okay, so you went in 2000 and you didn't go overseas though till 2003. Were you a little bummed about that?
Not really, because a lot of it was just like a train up mission. Like
Okay.
we were training for something. We didn't know if we were training for Afghanistan. We didn't know if we were training up for a different thing. And then all of a sudden, the Iraq stuff started coming in about middle of 2002. And then that's where, like, all the news started hyping up and everything. And
Yeah.
then we started getting a new equipment, and we knew from there, like, no question, we're getting ready to go somewhere.
How difficult was it for you? Because you talked about new equipment for you to integrate that new equipment with what you have already learned with the older stuff.
It was pretty much, we were in the field on and off every, like, 10 days, come back for a week, go back out for 10 days, come back for a week kinda deal,
Okay.
and it was just nonstop, and I think that's what really got us in the mentality of being out in the middle of nowhere for long periods of time kinda deal.
Yeah. So you get to Kuwait, and was it what you thought it would be when you step off that plane or whatever?
Well, I mean, there was sand everywhere, and that's pretty much all I thought, like, it was just done, and, I mean, it's just nasty hot. Like, you can stick your head in an oven, and it's probably a lot better than just going out in Kuwait kinda deal, 'cause it's
Oh,
yeah,
that's hot.
yeah.
Makes me wonder how they people live there on the
You know
regular, right?
like, it's weird because when you do wear a lot of gear and, like, your uniforms and all that, you would think that being in long sleeves, being covered up all the time would make you hot, when actually, like, the sweat and everything cools you down.
Yeah. Yeah, because you especially when it dries, right?
Yeah,
And then you're
yeah.
moving and yeah, tend to get chilled.
Yeah, it's very weird, but pretty cool on the other hand.
Yeah, yeah. So what was the did you well, I guess I should ask not what, but did you have an opportunity to eat any of the local food or were you just relegated to the barracks food?
Um, that time, because it was right before we went over the border, we didn't really get to do too much of, like, living with the populace kind of deal. That came later on during my second and third tour kind of stuff. But the
Okay.
first one was more, you get there, like, we're here for a mission, we're here to fuck shit up kind of deal.
Yeah.
And
How
that's
long
what
did it take you to get acclimated, if you will, to that area beforehand?
maybe a week or two.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were pretty much, when we got to Kuwait, we got there right before the ship with all our equipment. As soon as the ship pulled in, like, we pulled everything off, like, let's go load up ammo, let's go load up what we need, and we headed out to the desert kind of deal.
Okay. So you're waiting for your equipment. Was it MREs? Did they have
Oh,
a
they had a chow hall. I mean, chow hall was pretty decent actually, but
wow.
but at the time, I mean, it's food other than something that comes in a brown bag kind of deal. So
Right. It's sustenance.
yes, yes.
Yeah, 100%. Ron Wayne, welcome. Thank you for being here. We're just going to jump in. So DJ Play Nice says, hey. And then Ron says, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Um, let's see. Everybody, I know that Jim and Jason, they're driving, so they can't really type and text. So we're okay with that. All right. So then you cross over. How was that?
It was pretty different for sure. I spent my 21st birthday in Kuwait on the Iraqi border. So, like, everyone else is getting drinks and stuff, and here I am taking 21 shots of water with a chow hall cake and everything with 21 cigarettes on it.
Oh my
That's probably
gosh.
the best birthday I've ever had.
It is so nice though, right? That they
Right?
thought about you
Yeah,
and wanted to do
exactly.
something. It didn't matter what it was, they did
Right.
something. I think that's awesome. Um, 21 shots of water. Love it. Love it. Um, so tell me a little bit more. Once you crossed over the border, how did that go?
It, easiest way to put it, it was a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
We we were going up, and my truck ended up breaking a drive shaft.
Oh
So
no.
I was in an 8x8 truck. We were pretty much stranded in the middle of nowhere with the maintenance people and everything, and then playing leapfrog to catch up to our unit like 4 days later. So it was pretty much okay. Get in this convoy. Nope, nope. That convoy is going slow. We got to get in this convoy. Got to get in this one. We need missiles up front. Got to get in this convoy. So it was pretty
Wow.
much a 4 day drive of just constant go.
Wow. And so the rockets, etc., they're with you, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So they can't do what they need to do up front until you get there.
yeah. Like I was hauling the rockets and stuff, and they were like, "Yeah, we need some up front." So we just kind of hopped in whatever convoy we could till we got up there.
Wow. Well, but you got there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And so was it how far away for something like those did you have were you, right? To shoot
Well,
off.
you could be within like 200 miles. So I mean, they shoot pretty far.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, we were reaching out and touching people for sure.
Okay. So it wasn't close.
Yeah, it wasn't
But
like real close, but at the same time, we were still on the front lines, kind of deal.
right, right. And the thought is if you can hit them, they can hit you kind of a
Yeah, oh, 100%.
scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how long were you there for?
That time it was, I'd say February till June, so about 5 months, I think it was.
All right. And then you come back stateside back to Fort Sill?
Yep, yep.
And were you thankful to be back home? Were you like, this is kind of weird?
I don't know because it was kind of like I got the touch of, this is how combat is, and it was more of a okay, well, let's volunteer to go back again. Let's keep going, and
Yep.
I think that was the downfall because I always wanted to go back over kind of deal.
And when you came back, what did your mom say? Like, did you let her know, hey, I'm back stateside, I'm safe?
Pretty much, she graduated college when I graduated high school.
Okay.
So we had her college graduation, my high school graduation, and my going away party all in the same time.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty much like she was being a teacher and stuff, like I got to go back. She was teaching third grade when I came back. So like got to go talk to her classes and everything and tell kids that combat is not like Call of Duty kind of stuff.
Right. Yes. No, it is not.
Oh, speaking of
Uh,
remote, he's calling.
See, we
It's like,
conjured her
you
up.
can't talk about her.
We conjured her up. Her ears were ringing. That's great. Uh, so how long then were you back in Fort Sill before you decided or before you got deployed again?
I
The
was
next place.
in Fort Sill for let's see, we were there, came back, like waited for our equipment to get offloaded off railheads and all that stuff again. Then in March of '04, we went to 29 Palms and stuff to do more training exercises.
And what
And
did
then,
you think of 29 Palms?
it's flat nothingness. You got to watch out for tortoises for sure. Like the endangered species tortoises, they're always looking for them, and you just stop all movement kind of deal if they're in the area.
That is funny. I guess I never thought about it, but yeah, I could see it. I could see that. Here these big old burly soldiers are and Marines, right? And they're out there and oh wait, there's a little tortoise. We can't do anything. Back up.
Right? Everyone stop.
uh, and speaking of Marines, did you have the opportunity to work with any Marines while
We
you
did.
were
We worked with I believe it was Golf Company, second of the 4th Marines, which was pretty cool because we were also 2nd Battalion, 4th Field Artillery. They were also 2-4 as well.
that is cool. That doesn't happen a lot, does it?
Right, right.
And um Did you get to watch them actually work and train then beside them, or?
A little bit. They were shooting the howitzers while we were shooting the multiple launch rockets and stuff. So, like, their capabilities were a little bit shorter than ours, kind of stuff.
Did they say, "Hey, come try this," and, "Hey, you could try this one,"
I
right?
wish. I mean, that'd been cool, but
Uh, it's kinda like when you're out at the range, right? And
right,
people
right.
hear you shoot something, like, really large, and pretty soon everybody's coming over, "Oh, hey, wanna try this?" "Oh, yeah, sure." Yeah, yeah. Um, okay. From 29 Palms, you went where?
To Fort Lewis, Washington. We went up there in May of 2004. We went up there to train all the ROTC guys or ROTC people coming out of doing their training and stuff for Warrior Forge.
Okay. And you were gonna train them in what?
We were pretty much the opposition forces or op four as they call it. So we were the ones that were out there being playing the bad guys kind of deal, shooting blanks at them and stuff, making sure that their combat leader skills were on point kind of deal. Um, I don't know if you've ever been out to Washington State, but there's some
In a
massive
really
anthills,
Yeah, yeah.
just some massive anthills, and we watched a couple of college kids run into them, and that was probably the best thing we've ever seen.
Oh, wow. Ugh. I have
I mean,
run
it sucked to
into
be
an
them, but it was pretty cool to watch it.
right. I've run into an anthill, actually, I ran it over with the lawnmower.
Oh,
Not a good thing,
yeah,
um, because the next thing you know, you are covered in them.
yeah. There's a lot of people covered in millions and millions of ants, and it is not fun.
No, no. What did you think of of being there and doing that training with them?
I thought it was pretty cool. We got to see how like future leaders would be and everything, and how they'd react in certain situations. And you can kind of tell of like who would be a good lieutenant compared to who would be just someone that you didn't want to follow in combat, kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, from there, then you go where?
I actually was married at the time, and I got out of active duty and went into the Indiana National Guard. Um,
Oh, okay. So you left and went back to Indiana.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I left in '05 and literally was like within 2 weeks was back on my parents' couch kind of deal. Like, all right, what do we do now? Like, I knew that like a civilian job was kind of out of the question, kind of deal, because I was still pumped up. I wanted to go back to combat,
Mhm,
kind of stuff.
mhm.
Um, then as soon as I went to the National Guard, kind of deal, I it was about Hurricane Katrina time frame, and they're like, hey, we need people for Hurricane Katrina. So I was like, okay, put my name, let's go. And we went over there, and while we were over there, they were like, hey, we're getting a unit, like a couple guys volunteers for a mission to Iraq. And I was like, well, I ain't got nothing going on, like, put my name in, let's go. And
What'd your mom think of that one?
she didn't know about that, so
Oh.
until I came home, and I was like, hey, by the way,
Oh,
going for like
no.
a week,
Well, what
and
we
we're
don't
going
know
again.
won't hurt us, right?
Yeah, like, hey, we're getting ready to go again, kind of deal.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So you put your name in and you have to go through any kind of training before you
We
head back?
let's see, we got done in we were out of Mississippi in like October 20th, I think. And by Halloween, we were already getting ready to go onto a bus going to Fort Dix, New Jersey to do train up
Wow.
to go over. So probably like November 1st or 2nd, we ended up in Fort Dix, New Jersey, getting ready to train up.
Okay. How long was the training?
So this was a difficult deployment because we were 40 guys from 9 different units who became military police officers that deployed under a transportation flag to go do convoy security. It was very, very weird kind of deal.
Had they ever been
There
deployed?
were some that have. We had some guys. They were from the Indiana National Guard. they were infantry, so they were there in '03 as well. Except
Okay.
they were on like the infantry side compared to the artillery side.
Right.
Um, my artillery unit, we went from Kuwait to Baghdad in the initial wave kind of deal. Like we were front lines. These guys, they were kind of a little bit behind where we were, but at the same time, like they were, in the shit. Um, so there were some great dudes. I mean, just 100% guys that knew what they were doing. There were some hard charging guys that never deployed before that, they knew what they were doing. They wanted to go over there kind of deal. It was all volunteer. It wasn't like a, hey, you're in this unit, you're going. It was more, hey, we need so many bodies, let's go. So these guys all knew like what we were doing.
Right. And so you get yourself trained up and you head on over to
We went
uh,
over to Kuwait first. We were doing Kuwait missions with the Navy Customs guys. So when you fly into Kuwait from Iraq, you got to go through customs and all that stuff. Well, the custom guys, they would keep them in like a sterile area, and we would guard the buses from the base to the Kuwaiti City Airport. And then we'd have to work with like the Kuwait National Police, the Kuwaiti National Army kind of deal. So like we
and
lots of coordinations.
yeah. Okay. And that was the initial that you did.
That was in 2006.
Right. But I mean, initially that was what you were doing.
Yeah, we were supposed to be attached to a Kentucky unit. Then that got nixed. Then we were supposed to be attached to another unit or an Arkansas unit. That got nixed. Then we ended up being attached to a New Mexico unit who was already on ground there. So with their last 6 months, we ended up butting up with them until they left. And then we got attached to a Wisconsin unit. So I mean, it was when I say we were attached to attached to attached to attached, we literally were. We were
Wow.
everywhere.
And the whole time though, you kept your MOS.
I became a military police officer in December
Okay.
of '05.
Okay. And that makes more sense than
Yeah.
listening to that because I was like, hmm. Uh, and what did you think? Did you prefer that over launching rockets?
Like I loved the being in the field all the time with artillery
Yeah.
compared to the military police. The National Guard, I mean, the one weekend a month deal kind of sucked. Like I really loved being a full-time soldier. I really loved just doing that every day. It kind of gave me like that sense of something to do. Being there for like a weekend a month kind of deal kind of sucked because then you got 28 days to figure out what you want to be when you grow up.
Right. That's a one way of putting that for sure. Did you ever decide?
No, I'm still trying to decide 42 years later. I still do not know.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Uh, okay. So where did you go after that?
We came back in February of 2007. I ended up getting a couple like just minimal jobs kind of deal. I was delivering electrical supplies for a company, and then I was a nighttime stocker at the grocery store that I worked at before I graduated.
But
Um,
still National Guard.
yes, yes.
Okay.
I did a couple of drills where I was training up like new recruits and all that stuff as well. Then I want to say June or July of '07, they came out again with another list like, hey, who wants to go back overseas and volunteer? And I had some people from my deployment to Hurricane Katrina. They were like, hey, Sergeant Wentz, dude, like, we're getting ready to go again. What's up? I'm like, all right, let's go. Here you go. Here's the paperwork. Let's go.
Did you tell your mom that time?
I did. I was like, well, so and so's going back over and this person's going back over. So, all right, I got to go.
And
Yeah.
how did she take that?
Probably not well, but at the same
You
time,
didn't stick around to find out.
it's me. I mean, I had a one-track mind. Like, we got a mission, we got to go take care of, kind of deal.
I'm just teasing you, just so you know. Just teasing. Um, Okay, so you get there, and how did that go?
Um, for the most part, it wasn't too bad. We were training up the Iraqi police out in Baghdad area. So where our IP station was, we could look across the river and see the green zone. So we were pretty much right in the heart of Baghdad kind of deal. We were in a fob called Fob Rustamaya, and you had a burn pit on one side and a sewage treatment thing on the other. So it smelled delightful in the mornings and stuff. Like, yeah.
I could just imagine that. Oh,
Oh, it was a stinky place for sure.
right, right.
And
Now,
then you're avoiding missiles and mortars and all that stuff coming
were
in.
you guys under attack much there, like at the actual fob?
Um, they they got bombed a lot. We were close to Solder City, so we got hit from all direction, kind of deal.
Okay, okay. So, I take it you weren't out then hobnobbing with the locals.
I mean, for the most part, we were in our area. Like when we went to the
Oh,
IP
okay.
stations and stuff, like we got to talk to the kids and everything. Like we would get like good rapport with the kids, so that the kids would tell us, like, hey, that's a bad dude, or hey, that guy's good. That Nah, I don't trust that guy. Like, so for the
Yeah,
most part,
which
like the kids were the ones that kind of gave us all the information.
yeah, yeah, that's important information to have, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so as far as the adults, were they happy, not happy to see you?
For the most part, I mean, like we had a couple guys in my squad. It was me and this guy named Sergeant Henry, and he was also my roommate. We were pretty much inseparable kind of deal. And no matter what, we kind of threw humor into everything that we did. Um, Pretty much, if you can get someone laughing, you can get them to calm down.
Yeah.
If they were like up here, you get them laughing, and they, come back down. Like, okay, these guys are all right,
Yeah,
kind of deal.
how to de-escalate, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And all right, so you are there how long were you there for then?
That time I was there from, let's see, got there in May of '08, and then left in February, March of '09.
Okay, come back stateside?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did you do then?
For the most part, I drank a lot. It was very hard. Sergeant Henry that I was telling you about, he ended up getting killed. Him and his driver got killed on August 4th of 2008.
Oh,
I was on
no.
a convoy with them. They were front truck. I was rear truck. It ended up coming down to paper rock scissors over who's going to be leading that convoy that day. Um, it was very
I'm
much
very
like
sorry.
I had bad feelings. Like, hey, dude, like I want to be front truck. Like, I got a bad feeling about it. Oh, no, Wednesday, everything's gonna be good, dude. We're good, bro. We're good. And it came down to paper rock scissors between the two of us, and he won. And he ended up getting blown up by an IED. Him and his driver.
I can't imagine how difficult that
It,
was.
it, it was very hard. And at the same time, like when we came back with active duty, it was pretty much okay. All of you guys are back. Um, you guys are all going to go through like the reintegration classes and all that. The don't beat your dog, don't hit your wife kind of classes and stuff.
Right.
With the guard, it was pretty much you come back to, whatever. Like we went back to Fort Dix in '08, and you had like a week of just medical classes and all that stuff, and then see you guys later.
See you next month
Pretty pretty much. See you
for
next month, see
your
you in 3 months, whatever. But
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't like, here's coping methods. My coping method happened to be a beer bottle, and I do not recommend it. It sucks.
Right, right. So how did you obviously that's how you dealt with what
Yeah,
you went through. Um, did you end up going into some kind of substance abuse
not really.
something or
For
just
the most part, I just I pretty much just dealt with the demons for a while. And then in 2016, or no, it might have been like 2018 or 19. You know how when they give you medication says don't drink with it?
Mhm.
Of course, me being the hardhead that I am, oh, it'll be fine. Yeah, well,
What's the worst that could happen?
yeah, I was stuck in bed for like 5 days. I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be drinking with it. And then ever since then, I've been clean. Just, I have a beer, a drink or two once in a great while. Usually on the, uh, we usually do a weekend celebration of life for Henry and Mankey, the two that got killed with us overseas. And we go out to Henry's family to do a celebration of life, go to their gravesite and everything. Me and my squad and everyone that was with them, kind of deal.
Wow. I'm sure that that means a lot to his family, their
And
families.
not only that, but I think it helps us as well. Like it's almost like a reset kind of deal when we get there. Like we're all amped up. We see everyone like a big family reunion kind of deal. We hang out at my gunner's house before we head down to Indianapolis where he was at. And we just have fun. Like, hey, how's the family? Like they tell us about the kids, I tell them about the dogs and stuff, and they love it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great times for sure.
And the camaraderie between those that you've served with, I mean, directly,
Mm.
um, really makes a difference, right,
Oh,
for you
100%.
and knowing they'll be there to help hide bodies, right?
You could say that, but I don't.
Ah, I get you, though.
I have my phone calls where, like, if I need to, I know who to call, kind of deal.
Exactly, right? That's all I was getting at. Um, so okay. Uh, but gosh, the National Guard, do you know to this day, do they still not give any kind of resource
They
for
they do, but they don't, kind of deal. Like they'll tell you, well, if you're having problems, go see the VA. Well, at the time, I was at the Chicago VA, and it was just, you know, oh yeah, we'll see you in 3 months. Well, sorry, I'm feeling suicidal right now. Like I don't have 3 months. You know what I mean?
right, right.
So then at the same time, I went down to the Indianapolis VA. They were a little bit better. Um, help reintegrate you and everything. Went to therapy and all that stuff. Um, and then I started finding different ways of therapy on my own. I was going up to Rush Hospital there in Chicago, and it's called the Road Home program.
Hmm.
And when I went there, had a great counselor, therapist, whatever you want to call it. And she gave me like different ways of dealing with different situations and stuff. Um, that one was really good. It was actually owned or ran by the members of the Chicago Bears.
Oh, wow. And it's called the Road Home?
Road Home program of Rush Hospital.
Let's see. I am going to go ahead and put that out in the chats if anybody is interested.
Like I know they had an in at the time. I mean, it obviously it's changed since like 2018. But
Right.
when I was there, they had like an inpatient and outpatient as well. Like there was a lot of vets that they were helping, like just amazing people.
And it seems they're still out there
Awesome.
serving. I mean, it's roadhomeprogram.org.
Yep.
Um, so it seems for anybody that is out in that area looking for some resources, you can check it out. That is their webpage. And I'm sure that there will be several, there's several links on that. It's veteran care, active duty care, as well as family care. So feel free to check that out. Um, and one of the things that I guess I'm questioning in my mind is being in the reserves and then being deployed.
Mhm.
In your opinion, and not getting political at all, But in your opinion, do you see a way that they could better, and I said this being all military reserve branches, serve or help with those veterans coming back from a deployment?
I think a lot of the issue that lies within like the National Guard and the Reserve is you are spread out. Um, for example, when I came back with active duty guys, like I got to see those people every day. I got to go to the classes with them. I got to go back to the motor pool with them. When we came back with the guard, like my gunner lived 3.5 hours away, kind of deal. So I couldn't really just go jump over there. Um, Most of my support people, they were down south, Indiana, and I was up north. So we were just spread out throughout the state. So it was kind of hard to get to them, kind of deal.
And so, as far as from what you're saying, there really isn't a good way for the guard reserves, those in charge, to come up with some way of helping or providing resources
I mean,
directly.
there might be, but my small brain, that's like way too much for it. Like
That's
where the
fair.
people make the big bucks, kind of deal.
I was asking strictly for the fact that you've been there, done that, right?
Yeah.
So, but good points. Good points. Um, okay, was that your last deployment then?
Yeah. Last overseas one, yes.
Okay. But you were still in the guard when you came back?
Yeah, I stayed in the guard till 2016 when they medically chaptered me out. Um, no, maybe it was 2015. I don't. Either way, I did 15 years. I can't remember the dates or
Okay.
whatever. But
Okay. That's a long time.
yeah, like I was supposed to go on a fourth deployment, and I had to go in front of like a whole bunch of people and everything to basically tell them why I wanted to go overseas. And they came back and told my command that I was irritable. So they were like, "This guy's irritable. He ain't going." I was like, "Well, I guess I'm irritable."
Sometimes the silly questions can be irritable, right?
Oh, oh, that's pretty much what it was. They asked me, if an Iraqi points a gun at you, what are you gonna do? I said, blow his fucking head off. And they said, you're irritable. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm irritable then.
It it begs you to the question of what kind of an answer are they looking for?
Exactly. I
You know,
think a lot of it was they wanted me to play nice, and you're not really gonna get playing nice when you got someone that just came back from his third tour, who's been there during the initial wave, has his roommate killed in front of him, and expect him to play nice. It's not gonna happen.
right. And I guess I could see, where they're trying not to go for any kind of like retaliation or
Right, right. But I mean, at the same time, too, like, I mean, yes, I understand there's, rules of engagement and everything. And I mean, of course, I'd follow them. But at the same time, like, if someone points a gun at me, that's what I'm going to do. I didn't think in my head, like, oh, I got to make sure that he's pointing it in a hostile way. Like, no, my first instinct is you're going to take out the enemy kind of deal.
right, right.
And they didn't like that answer.
It makes me wonder, have they ever been these doctors or
I don't think
whoever?
they, I don't think they've really deployed too much or even gave it a, oh, we're going to deploy. I think they were just 20 years behind a desk kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, then that happens quite a bit. Um, and so Jason asked, he says, that seems like a BS response. Isn't that what you're trained for?
Yeah.
Um, DJ Play Nice says, wait a minute. Which I understand, because that obviously that was my thing too. It's like, well, and in an everyday scenario, right? Just being home,
Right.
I mean, you're going to defend yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, whether it's, with somebody's pointing a gun, what are you going to do? Offer them a stick of gum?
Well, I mean, maybe an MRE or,
Yeah, hungry. Oh, goodness. Well, that's interesting. Um, so you are clean, you're sober. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're enjoying your family coming up for
For the most part.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, yeah.
You think
Um,
your sisters are watching this?
oh, guaranteed not. No, no, no.
Yeah, I
I just
enjoy
told
my
them I was
family
on a
mostly.
podcast. They don't need to know the rest. I'll bring it on them in Thanksgiving.
I enjoy my family mostly. That's
I play
awesome.
nice with them once in a while.
Oh, good. That's a good thing. Family is important, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Um, and now you're home, I'm sure, and you've been home for a while. I'm sure, you know, are your parents happy to have you back? And
For the most part, I moved up to Michigan in 2020. And that was about 5.5 hours away from them. Now I'm in central Illinois and I'm about 3 hours away from them. So they like that I'm
closer.
closer.
And I'm sure your mom is very happy knowing you're stateside, right?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
And out of potential imminent danger and threats.
For the most part, when I got back in 2013, I was law enforcement for the community that my parents live in.
Oh,
One of my high school buddies called me up. He's like, "Hey, you know, you like doing shitty jobs. I got a shitty job with shittier pay. You willing to do it?" And I was like, "What do I got to do?" He's like, "Well, you get to become a cop again." I said, "All right." Signed up and became a police officer out there.
wow.
Um,
How long did you do that for?
I did that for about a year and a half, and then they wanted me to play nice, and I went to a board meeting. I didn't play nice, and ended up getting myself fired. But that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, kind of. Um, it, there, there's a lot of things when you go to certain calls and stuff that just build up. Um, you go to so many domestic violence, and you're just to the point where you're like, you know what, you need to leave the guy or you need to leave this chick. You can't constantly stay around and expect another result because it always ends up one way or the other.
Right.
And there's a lot of times going on drug overdoses where, you're just like, dude, I want to get this person help, but yet they don't want to do nothing for themselves, kind of deal. Like they have to want to do, something for themselves. No one else can really guide them along that direction.
Right. And did the um that particular police station, did they provide resources for
Not,
you when you
not
dealt with those
really.
kinds of issues?
Not really. It was pretty much just you react. That was back in 2014, so times might have changed. During that time too, like 2013, I was working with one of my buddies that was on the police department with me. He's like, dude, I'm gonna get voted on as fire chief again. You want to join the fire department? Well, I decided to join the fire department then too. So I was doing both hats again. Um, I ended up staying with the fire department till like 2018 or 19, and
Okay.
in that area.
And was
Um,
that volunteer? A
yes,
volunteer department?
yes, yeah. And so, like I got all my cert for that and everything, and like I loved it. I really do, and that's why I joined it back out here. When I moved to Michigan, I called them up a couple times, like, hey, I just moved to the area. I have this training, this training, this training. Well, they never called me back. So I was like, all right, I'm growing my hair out, growing my beard out, and like screw you guys, I'm doing my own thing. And when I moved down here to Illinois, I went to the local volunteer fire department. I'm like, hey, here's my certifications, blah, blah, blah. I think I was home for maybe 30 minutes and I had the chief and the assistant chief in my backyard going, hey, heard you want to join up. Let's go.
They didn't even call. They just showed up. Oh
They
my
just
god.
showed up in my backyard. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
And here you've got the long hair and the beard. And
Oh yeah.
did they say you need to cut it? Did they say,
Oh, they definitely made comments and everything. And I was like, well, we're gonna see what we can do.
and how'd that work?
For the most part, pretty good. I mean, I've been, honest with them the entire time. Like, look, I got old battle wounds kind of deal. Like, I'm not the spring chicken that I used to be. Um, here's all my certifications and everything. And, if something hurts, I'm gonna let you know that I'm hurting. So it's pretty much okay, do what you can do and, just continue to keep trucking on kind of deal.
And now, prior to the show, we talked a little bit about how your hair getting caught in your helmet.
Yeah, I went to a house fire and I went to take off my helmet real quick and my hair got caught up in it. And I was like, oh, that's it. We're getting it cut. I mean, it was down to about the middle of my back kind of deal. That was another 4 years of growing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
4 years, though? That's all it took to grow it that long?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's insane. My hair doesn't even grow that fast.
Oh, I had the mohawk going. I probably had a 4 foot long mohawk kind of stuff.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So what are you doing nowadays then?
Now so when I moved to Central Illinois, I was living in Michigan near Randy Traxler, his parents'
Great
area.
guy, by the way. I
Yes,
know
he
he's
is.
out there and yeah. So
He actually got to my first unit station about a month after I did. So me and him have been great friends ever since. Um, just an awesome dude.
little
And
note, he says Randy says, "It's okay, my family adopted you in Michigan."
oh, 100%. 100%. Like just great people. And when I left there, one of my lieutenants from my third tour, who was also with us when we got hit by the IED, he's like, "Hey, I want to start a like a mentorship program between vets and high school kids." And
That's awesome.
so that's what we're doing right now. We're getting it all set up. We're taking high school kids that want to do agricultural things, and he already owns a preschool that has a bunch of farm animals there. And so we're bringing the high school kids in there, mentoring them, uh, doing like the daily chores of a farm with them every morning. So
Awesome.
either I'm out there or he's out there at the same time with these high school kids.
Nice. Ron Wayne says, "Great to meet you, Rob. Wishing you the best of the holiday seasons." He's
Same
got
to
to
you.
run. He has a podcast as well, so he's got to go prep for his premiere. So,
Nice.
Ron, thank you so much for coming out tonight and supporting our veteran and specifically Rob tonight. Appreciate you being here. So, when you get everything situated and in order, and be sure to let me know, keep me updated so I can let everybody know kind of, about this program.
Absolutely. For the most part, we're right now where we're at is we're talking to all the local school superintendents in the area to try and get a program going where like the kids can get college or high school credits and everything. We're working with like the Future Farmers of America.
Nice.
to
And
grant-
how are they receptive to it?
For the most part, like they're more like speechless that two veterans came up with this great idea. Um, like, wow, you guys are crazy. Like this is never, but then like, oh wow, this is awesome. Like this is working great. We had one kid, he was doing bad in school. He came out to the farm and everything, started working with me and my lieutenant buddy. And he went from like fighting every day to just being like a model student and he's getting ready to graduate next month.
That's
And
awesome.
and we got him a job right now with the local welding shop and everything to try
Oh,
and get
that's wonderful.
his career going kind of deal. The kid before him, same thing, like was very just just us kind of deal, like I look back and I'm like, dude, that was me in high school kind of deal.
Did you tell
And
him that?
oh yeah, oh yeah, like dude, I was there, like I was always a pissed off high school student kind of deal.
Right.
And I mean, we're getting them into like, these welding shops and, whatever job career path they want to go. But I mean, of course, we're going to, vet them first. We're going to make sure that they can show up on time. They know their jobs, they know what's expected of them and stuff. Like we're not just getting random Joe Schmo kids and just being like, oh yeah, going to this welding thing, knowing that they can't do a damn thing. I
Or
mean,
they're not going to show up.
exactly. Like we want to make sure that these kids are, ready to work, ready to, do their jobs, ready to, make a difference in society.
How
And
many kids have you had go through this now?
so far, we are on our fourth one right now.
Nice, nice. So you
Uh,
do just like one at a time?
right now, it is onesies, twosies, but because we haven't had like the funding and stuff like that from the high schools, so it's been pretty much just kids in the neighborhood coming out kind of deal.
Oh, I think it's awesome what you're doing for the up and coming generations,
Yeah,
right? I mean, it to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, make good decisions and informed decisions.
and
And
that's pretty much what it came down to. Like, we want to build up the next generation so that they know kind of how to become good, productive members of society. And
right.
that's what really motivates us too. Like, we don't want to just be like, oh yeah, it's great, keep doing drugs and all that stuff, because that's basically where a lot of people were going down that path of. And it's like, no, you got to change your ways. Like, coming from someone who was on substance abuses, who was doing this and this and this, like, you got to continue on the straight and narrow kind of stuff.
Right. And I think coming from somebody who, as you said, has kind of been there, done that, right? It means more
Yeah,
than a bunch of adults just yelling at you saying you need to get your crap together. Who's
exactly.
never been in that situation.
Right. Like I would do really well with like the counselors or therapists throughout the years that have actually served, compared to ones that read it in a book and be like, oh, I can tell you about combat. Well, dude, no, you really can't, because you read it in a book. That doesn't mean that you know about combat. That means you know how to read. That's all it boils down to.
Right. Right. Um, where do you see this going? Where do you hope it to go in the
Uh,
next 5, 10 years?
I mean, I really hope that we get a lot of kids coming through this program that we got that, will sit there and just become good, productive members of society. That, because I look at it this way as well. Like, when I was growing up as a kid, I knew that I didn't know people in certain positions that I can get a job. I knew that if I wanted to be, say, an iron worker, I needed to know someone that was in the ironworking field. I had to know someone that was involved with this union. I had to know someone that was involved with this. This way, like, we can just have random, little Timmy, little Tommy come in and be like, hey, I want to be a welder. Well, okay, well, we got connections for you. Let's see how you do. And then, we can hook you up with this guy. If you want to continue on with that, we hook you up with this guy. Right now, where I'm at, it's a big farming community. So we have everything from grain bins to granaries to machine shops to tractor shops to all that. So it's a big agricultural community, which is a big culture shock to me coming from the city.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just found out a month ago there was a difference between sheep and goats. So there's that.
Wait,
Yeah.
you didn't know that there was a difference between sheep
They
and goats?
They both said bye. They both had horns. One was fluffier than the other. That's all I knew. And I sent my buddy a Snapchat. I was like, dude, everyone needs a little fluffy goat in their life. And he goes, bro, Jerry's not a goat. He's a sheep. And I was like, oh, there we go.
See, it is so you can learn new things regardless of age, right?
Exactly. I'm learning. I'm learning.
We learn and if I can learn something new every day, I'm in my happy place. I don't
Oh,
care what it
100%.
is,
Like, I
right?
also found out there's a difference between sweet corn and field corn. Didn't have a clue. I thought it was both grown, it's corn. Comes on a stalk. I don't know.
Right. And I have to agree with that one. I mean, I know the taste, right? Corn can be sweeter than other corn,
Right.
certain corn. But to know if I looked at it, would I have a clue? No.
I mean, for the most part, I knew it came out of a bag in the freezer, and you cut it open, you throw some butter on it, you're good, right?
Right? Yeah, exactly. I understand. I completely understand where you're coming from with that because there are certain things that I never would have guessed it.
Yeah.
Um, but don't you feel smarter when you learn,
No,
right?
not really.
Okay, let me rephrase. I feel smarter when I learn.
More likely, I'm just like, hey, don't be like me. All right, like that's a sheep, that's a goat, that's field corn, that's sweet corn. All right.
I have no idea how to recognize the difference between sweet corn and other than taste, right?
And honestly, like I still don't know. Like I just know, like, okay, don't go to that side of the field anymore. Go to that side.
I'm gonna have to research now because now my little mind is going, I really want to know. It's kind of like, when they say don't do this, this, and this, and you're like, well, what happens? And there's like, just don't do it. So you go and do it so you can figure out what it is that happens when you do it.
Yeah, that's how I spent 42 years of my life. Don't do that. All right. We're gonna
So
do
now
it.
I need to know what's the
Yeah.
difference. What do they look like? How can you tell there's a difference?
Well, I know one, like the field corn was dented. Like it had that little dent in the kernel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to be inspecting corn from now on at the dinner table.
Yeah. Like you open that bag and you see a dented corn, like, no, whoa, hey, they got a shitty kind. I'm like, nope.
The sweet corn goes for a higher price.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Sometimes you can just tell at the checkout. Oh, that's great. Now, for your program with these kids, do you have a name for it?
it is the Country Learning Center Agricultural. Uh, we just call it the CLCAG.
LCAG.
Yes,
Have you started a website?
I don't know if they have one or not. I know they got a Facebook. My buddy, his wife owns a preschool, and she does the 3 and 4-year-old classes or whatever. And the high schoolers, what we're having them do is come in and take care of all the animals and stuff and prepare everything for the morning classes. So, like in the morning, we'll feed the cows, we'll feed the goats, and we'll feed the chickens. Um, they put out some eggs for the chickens and stuff because the 3-year-old and 4-year-old class in that morning will come out, pick the eggs and stuff, and they'll feed the whatever animals and stuff, like a little bit, but not as much as we are. Obviously, they can't lift all the big old bales of straw and hay and stuff. So,
Yeah. I think that is just wonderful. And to get the little ones involved, right? And let
these
them
kids,
feel like they're a part of it.
it's amazing. I mean, when they were doing the signups and stuff for the 3-year-olds, I had a bullying incident. One of the girls called me a goat because my beard, and she goes, "You look like a goat." So I took some goat feed, put it in her pocket, and sent her to go play with the goats. And then I made sure that I filled out a bullying slip and gave it to the teacher.
How'd that go?
It probably not well. I mean, that little girl hurt my heart. Like I'm still crying at night from her calling me a goat and everything, and making fun of me and bullying me. Scared of going to the classrooms in the morning because she might be there. So
Uh, I wish there was something like that for my kids when they were little growing
I,
up,
I mean,
right?
honestly, like if they had something like that growing up as a kid, I think it would be amazing. Just it seems like it's you feel like you accomplished something in the morning. Like there was I seen a YouTube video or whatever from, I think it was Admiral McRaven, or I don't know who he was, but some admiral, and he was basically stressing the importance of making your bed in the morning. If you don't feel like you accomplished anything throughout the day, just make your bed. That way you
Yeah,
accomplished something. And I was like, you know what? He's onto something there.
right, right. Make your bed, brush your teeth, right?
Well,
That's
I don't have to worry about that anymore. I got fake teeth, so we're good.
well, you still have to clean them every now and again.
Well, yeah, but I don't have to brush them. So I mean, I've been saving a lot of money on toothpaste and all that other stuff. So
There you go. There you go. And every now and then you just dunk them in some thick,
Oh,
some
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah. And you
still,
gotta
it's a
just
sense
put
of
on some
accomplishment,
seasoning.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
You cracked me up. You absolutely cracked me up. I think this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to throw out there to the chats. If anybody out there has a question or comment for Rob, go ahead and put them out there in the chats and we will present those to Rob to answer. So, um, let's see. We have, I'm sure Randy is still out there. And Randy, tell me, are you are you guys, well, I guess I should ask Rob. You guys, you're in contact often, you
Yes.
and Randy. Um, are you guys in the same area or?
No, actually, so this is what we call a Wentz mission. Um, Back in 2002, he was driving back from Michigan and ended up breaking down in the area that I'm in now. Um,
Wow.
and I was at Fort Sill in my unit and everything. My first sergeant comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, you're from Indiana, Illinois, and you go through this area a lot. Trexler's broken down. Can you go pick him, his wife, his two brother-in-laws, and their dog up?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem."
Piece of
Left
cake.
that Friday. I mean, I want to say it was like maybe 4:30 in the afternoon. Ended up getting to Central Illinois around like 2, 3 in the morning. And I was so wired up on energy drinks and stuff that it was kind of like a, "Hey, bud, I'm here. Guess what? I'm okay. I'll go see you." That was me. Okay. So I was like, yeah, like, I'm here. Like, let's go. And it this last week, his daughter was heading down to Oklahoma to go see him and stay with him and stuff. Well, she broke down in my area, and I was like, come on over, like I got you guys, don't worry about it. And he ended up coming up and picking his daughter up and stuff. So I was like, "Yep, see, now I got you and your daughter, on the Wentz mission." So it's
That's
great
awesome.
stuff.
That is awesome. So Angry Sarge popped in to say hello. He said, thank you and your guests for sharing your story. He says his channel is one I'm thankful for and allowing I think you mean this channel? I don't know. And allowing my fellow brothers and sisters in arms to share their story. Happy Thanksgiving. Angry Sarge, happy to have you join tonight. Thank you for popping in. Randy has one. What is the funniest is that Fort Lewis story?
Lewis story. So when we were in Fort Lewis, me and Randy were roommates actually, and there was a lot of beer in that area. So I was on duty one night, and just me being me, he comes in. I said, "I need to check your ID." Well, his ID was not the one I was expecting, and he went to flop something out on the desk. Well, I had a pair of scissors in my hand and went to stab him. So there's that. We always joke around about that, like, I'm gonna stab his dick. So yeah.
I thought that's where we were going with that. Did you notice I didn't ask for clarification though? There, you're right. Oh, that's funny. Okay. He also said something about the speed run to rescue him when his engine blew up.
Oh yeah, that was the Illinois mission.
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
So
yeah.
see, yeah. Yeah, he was at your house 2 days ago. Look at
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I'll tell you, great friends. I think it's amazing. Anybody else out there? So Angry Sarge, I get it. Yep, he's on duty. And so he fat fingered that. He says he was saying that my channel is one he's thankful for. And I'm thankful for you as well, Angry Sarge. Appreciate that. Look at that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
awesome. Love it. Wow. So Angry Sarge is so he's an officer as well. And so
Okay.
he just received and a veteran. And he just received a life-saving award. So he said it's been
Nice.
pretty crazy in the job. So congratulations, Angry Sarge. I'm sure it's very well earned. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Rob? Go ahead and get those put out there. Um, so you're going to be headed to your parents for Thanksgiving. No turkey for you. If
Maybe
you
it
can
all
avoid it, right?
it all depends. I mean, if I'm hungry, I might eat some. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, I want to, kind of reach across and say, thank you very much for your sacrifice, your service.
thank you.
It means the world to me, my family, and so many people that are out there supporting the channel and other veteran podcasters as well. So it absolutely means the world. Angry Sarge does have a question. He
Oh,
says, best Thanksgiving memory from your service.
I want to say maybe 2003, I think it was. Um, we went out to the local bar outside of Lawton, Oklahoma, and just random people are just coming up thanking us for our service. Like we, didn't announce that we were military. I mean, obviously our haircuts were probably a dead giveaway, but for
And
the
the way
most
you
part,
hold yourself,
I think so. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, yeah, we'd always come in there with something. I mean, there was always a group of us, at least 15 deep, going to the bars and everything. But yeah, I mean, it was just me and my one gunner at the time, and just random people coming up and thanking us for our service and stuff. Like it just felt amazing. Like they didn't really know what we've been through, where we just came from and stuff. And it was a good time.
and we're learning, right? We're
Yeah,
learning how to thank people who have
right.
served. Um, I think that's really important. I know from talking with Vietnam veterans, for example, a lot are still very hurt
Oh yeah.
about how they were treated. So
Mm,
I think we've learned and we've grown, and the respect we have, um, we try to put forward to our
I
veterans.
think I can't remember which tour it was, but we came back and there was a group of Vietnam vets, and they met us right off the plane and they said, "We're going to do everything in our power to make it so that you guys do not come back to the same bullshit that we came back to." And that was like one of the biggest things. Like, dude, this is amazing.
Yes. Yes, and I think that that's really important for them, and because they just had it so rough,
Yeah.
right? They were the only, um, well, not branch, but only era that had that kind of a welcome home. I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, right? World War One, World War Two, they're welcomed, there's
Ticker
parades,
tape
there's
parades, all that stuff. Yeah.
right. And to do that and be there, um, because they signed on, well, a lot of them, they signed, but they were drafted,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, yes, there were those that volunteered, but still they come back and they're shunned. That I can't even begin to imagine. And I
Yeah.
think that that's why you see very few, um, that have, you know, you see very few of them come on and tell their story,
Oh,
um,
100%. And
because of that.
I think it was like 2016 or yeah, it might have been 16 or 17. My mom's pastor, me and him were talking. He was a Marine vet in Desert Storm, and he
Okay.
was asking me about, PTSD and everything. And we ended up starting a support group for veterans. It wasn't, I mean, it was at a church. It, you know, was held with church people, but at the same time, it wasn't a religious kind of support group.
Right,
We were
right.
just basically a whole bunch of vets being there for our fellow vets.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
just an area that had a lot of chairs,
exactly.
a lot of
And
seats.
with him being a pastor, I mean, it was kind of like his
Right.
way of saying like, "Come to my house," kind of deal.
Right.
But it was amazing. I mean, we did great things. They're still going on right now. I don't know how many people are going there. I haven't been there in a while, but I know he was doing amazing things. And we had people from Vietnam to current coming up and talking about their experience with moral injury, PTSD, all that stuff.
Right. That makes me happy. And it seems that since you've been back, you're also continuing to serve.
Yes.
And I think that that is amazing. And
I'm
you're
also
doing great things.
I'm also on a couple committees down here in Illinois that I'm on the recovery can't think of an acronym, but basically it's all about recovery and stuff for substance abuse in the county.
Oh, good.
I'm also on another committee where we're trying to get a transitional house going for
Nice.
people that are going to rehab, coming back from rehab, going out of jail to get into rehab, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, just trying to, help people. I mean, I think that's what really motivates me and keeps me going.
Yeah.
Like especially with me signing up and stuff is pretty much like I was a single dude, I didn't have kids. I would rather see myself go overseas than someone that has, three or four kids, you know, wife and family. I didn't really have that, so I was just like, all right, let's go, you know.
Yeah. I do. I think it's an amazing thing that that you've done and that you continue to do and to serve the country and your fellow um, brother and sister veterans and just anyone in general. It sounds like so, uh, and helping our younger generation. I
Yeah,
think that is incredible. So thank you for that.
thank you.
I am. Let's see what I got. So DJ had to quote unquote roll out. So he's headed out. DJ, thank you for being here. Angry Sarge, thank you. He got a call and had to leave. So he said, thank you for sharing your story, brother. Um, I again want to say thank you. I appreciate
Uh,
everything that you've done and I definitely want to stay in touch because I do want to hear how things are going with your program
oh yeah,
and because I think it's just great to share and we'll definitely need to do a follow-up when you're
oh
ready
yeah.
for that and see how it's going.
We might even have to do one where I'm actually there trying to determine which farm animal I'm working with.
you know, I just thought of a whole new show, right? Identify this farm animal.
Identifying farm animals with Wency.
Right, right. Oh, that'd be fun. We will make something happen one way or the other. But um, I thank you. Jason says thank you for your service, Rob, as
Thank
well.
you.
So I appreciate everybody out there in the chats and watching this later. Thank you guys for joining in and listening and enjoying the conversation with Rob Wentz. And we definitely have another show set up for next Sunday. So same time, same channel. So be sure to check us out next week. And in the interim, everybody, please have a very safe, happy, healthy Thanksgiving and enjoy family and find something to be thankful for. Rob, if you want to hang tight, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to close on out. And real quick, Jim says, thank you for your service, Rob. And he also did say his dad had been at Fort Sill and then Fort Lewis also. So, all right, everybody. Thank you guys. Appreciate y'all being out here. And again, we will see you next Sunday.